Hmm. Okay, good. Seems to be working. All right. Well, as I say, most of my rants I used to do some time back. What the fuck did I just press there? Um, I wonder if pressing that will make it go away. It went away. Haven't done. I've never actually done a live rant. I'm just getting home. Shit. Nothing's going to stay in stationary place. Except, of course, the earth we live upon. Haven't done a live rant before after just coming back home fresh from a walk. Take out my little shoulder bag where I carry some dog treats and perhaps a spare beer or two. So, the thing is, while I was out on my rant, uh, walk tonight with my helpful staff, yeah, you might want to take a good look at that if you think you want to take on the flat earth Aussie Jesus. I have a pretty good staff. They look after me pretty well. And I look after myself pretty well. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing for the last 48 years. And that's why I am here now to be a part of the greatest, not just the greatest truth movement in human history, but the greatest freedom movement in human history. You know, when I go out and walk down in the peaceful valley and hills, I listen to the cicadas and look at the stars, I get very inspired. And quite often by the time I get home, I forget 99.9% of all the things that I was thinking about. Possibly because I may or may not be drinking some grape juice. But it's generally because when you're inspired, it comes to you at the time, and you're inspired, and you feel it, and you feel it in your veins, and you express it into the universe. That's as good a word as any. Into the universe, into the Akashic records, and that is where it sits and remains. And for people who are fine-tuned, you know, for people who can grow a little bit of antenna and tune in to the Akashic record, they see, know, learn, listen, absorb, however you want to see it, however you want to call it, the truth. And the truth is the biggest truth movement in the history of the known human history. Like, we've lost a lot of history. But the biggest truth movement is happening, and it's coming in like a tsunami. And there are people that want to stand in the way. I could mention a couple of names, couldn't I? Quag, Woofy the wild dog. What a wanker he is. I'm not going to go into an in-depth discussion about the people standing in the way. They are nothing. They are piss ants. They're gone. They're irrelevant. The truth movement that is coming is here to set the true human beings free, to bring us into a golden age. Not necessarily where we're all going to be lazy cunts sitting around our ass watching television all day, like a Quag, playing Xbox and blah blah. No. The truth is, we are here to be servants of our living Mother Earth and to honour our Heavenly Father God. And by doing so, we serve human beings. Hey, Mark. Awesome. Yes, mate. I don't normally do them this late because I do have another person living in the house and might keep him awake, but too fucking bad. I come back from a walk and I'm feeling inspired. Really, really inspired. I had a big rant to him before I went out on the walk, taking the dog down the street or road. And big changes are on the way. Big, big, big changes. That yellow jacket movement in France and Egypt and many other places of the world is just a hint of things to come. Unfortunately, here in Australia, we've got a bunch of very melancholy people that just accept their lot, and it's very hard to get them organised. But there is a movement happening. It is happening, and it's big. And I'm the coordinator of it, quite happily, voluntarily. I'm not looking for any kudos, money, requests or anything. I'm just here to make sure that this truth movement changes the way the world is once and for all, to be back the way it should be. And so I call it Oli Moroa. Oli Moroa, as I've mentioned once or twice before, is the ancient traditional name from the Maori people of New Zealand for what they call the Big Island to the west of Australia. But it's bigger than that as well. It's bigger. It's a tribal movement. You don't have to necessarily be in Australia physically or New Zealand or anywhere else necessarily, because this is going to be so huge. What we're doing is setting up tribes of conscious people who are using consciousness to change reality, because the time has come. And it's not just a fleeting moment, it's a tidal wave. When a tidal wave rushes through, it changes things forever. And this tidal wave of consciousness, its time has come, or when it's beginning. It may still take a couple more years, but it starts with the first little trickle, and it's going to keep on going and going and building and building, because we people are sick of these lazy motherfucking privileged cunts who are stealing off us, who are forcing our children into education to become little worker slaves for them, forcing them into forced medication that is poisonous to them, forcing toxic food upon them. Okay, we can't necessarily force that, but we are being fucked over left, right and fucking centre, and we've had enough. And now there's somebody here to start organising a plan to stop it and to change it and to bring it back to how it should be for living, real human beings here on our stationary planar Earth. And so, I really don't like using the term flat Earth Aussie Jesus, but it's kind of catchy in a way, and it sort of wakes people's minds up. Obviously you're not Jesus. Jesus existed years ago. Some might say 2,000, some might say 1,000, some might say something else. I don't know. I don't know when he existed. I just know that he came as a living example and left some very good records for how we are supposed to be living in tune with nature. And the Essene Gospel of Peace is excellent at teaching us how that works. Uh-oh. Did you just leave, Mark? I can understand that, because a lot of people who are Jesus freaks tend to upset people. I'm not a Jesus freak. I just believe he was a great master teacher from the past who has a lot of great lessons to teach us that we can learn from, that we are learning from, some of us. And this is how we reach a greater consciousness as one humanity against a certain enemy. I will not name him by name, but we all know who the great deceiver is. And he is the one currently in charge, ruling the indoctrinated masses to keep other indoctrinated masses indoctrinated. He's done a great job. Don't get me wrong. You did well, Pluto. I know your name. Did I just say that out loud? All I'm saying is that the time has come for the revolution. And I know that's why you visited me many years ago. Showed your face to me. We're very, very pissed off. But you know for a fact that your time has come. I don't know what realm we're going to have to banish you to, because banishing you to the earthly realm obviously hasn't been good for us earthly people. You know, you could have tried to make it or leave it a good place. You chose not to. Fair enough. I understand you were really, really pissed off, and you still really, really are pissed off. Just as I have this rightful indignation against certain elements of energies at this time pissing me off. But we are reasonable gentlemen at the end of the day, and you know that when you get banished to this place, it is your rightful punishment. Just as every other little pissant who tries to stand in the way of this tidal wave of movement will know when the time comes that they deserve the place they get banished to. And they will beg and plead for mercy, and will say, well, sorry, we gave you that chance. You had every opportunity to redeem yourself, to stop standing in the way of this tsunami, of this new movement of truth, which is reawakening people to reality, which is killing off this great deceiver's deception. But while you stand there in defense of the deception, guess what? You're a pissant in the way. There's a double-edged sword coming. You can stand on whichever side you choose. You can stand on the side of light or the side of darkness. Stand on the side of light. You'll be a truther. You will be welcomed into the kingdom of the new golden age. You stand on the side of darkness, you're just useless fucking weeds standing in the way, turning into mulch. Oh, I've got comments I can't read without my glasses. I still couldn't read it. I'm really sorry. My apologies to you people commenting. I could put these on, but that makes everything distorted too. When I go out on my walks, I stand in the light of truth, in the light of the stars, in the light and sound of the crickets, the cicadas, the distant frogs, the distant cows, and I just sit and absorb the beautiful sounds of nature. And while I do so, I sit or stand and meditate, try to ignore the sound of an annoying little dog, and listen to the sound of truth. And the truth, it's undeniable. I mean, people stand in the way of truth. But it's like pretty much like a man standing in the way of the tide coming in and deciding I'm just going to lay down and sunbathe as the tide comes in, and then he wakes up drowned. That's pretty much what idiots standing in the way of truth is doing, except when the truth really comes, and it's coming in a big way. It is coming. I have to say, I've been nutting out a lot of methods, shall I say. I can't speak too much about it at this stage, but I've been nutting it out, like contemplating for a couple of decades at least, multiple methods of how we can stand up and defend ourselves against these piss ants who are taking advantage of our innocence, keeping us as slaves, taxpayers, taxed on every single little thing you do in life, prevent you from working, prevent you from driving, prevent you from doing all these different things, fining you. There's nothing fine about that. These lazy motherfuckers have been ruling over us for way too long. And I have got the methods. I have got the methods. The problem is, most people are too fucking piss weak to even want to contemplate it. They say, but I love my servitude. I've got Stockholm Syndrome. I love my masters. How dare you question them? And it's like, well, okay, you're a useless fucking pissant in the way. Get out of the way. I've got the solution. And it's not just a simple solution, it's a massive, complicated solution. You might think of it as something like an octopus. An octopus is a very intelligent creature. It doesn't just have one tentacle, which it may lose. It has 8 tentacles. And even if it loses 6 of them, it still has 3 hearts, or 3 brains, or whatever it is octopus have. I'm not exactly sure. But you don't put all your eggs in one basket. The solution to this end of the human race slavery, to the end of poverty, to the end of everything that we are pissed off about in this world, I have every solution to in here. And I'm quite happy to divulge it once, of course, I've got at least a little bit of safety and security behind me. I mean, I've been fearless my whole life with nothing but my staff. And that's pretty much all I need. And that's all I will do it with. Even if not a single person stands behind me. But the thing is, of course, a person like myself is going to come across as a nutter. I can understand that. I probably would think that same thing too. But if I told you some of these solutions, like the number one solution to end poverty straight away is to just stop taxing people. And instead of taxing them, give them a daily or weekly living allowance. And then all of a sudden, you're going to find, holy shit, all this extra money, rather than being hoarded by rich fuckers living in their elite, wherever they live in, all the money that they've been hoarding all this time, if you gave it to the people aren't going to hoard it the way these greedy, arrogant fuckers do. The people are going to start spending it. That's what they do with money. When you withhold something from a person for so long and you suddenly give it to them, the first thing they do is they use it. And that's why, basically, we have all these problems in the world. I mean, the number one thing that comes immediately to mind is drug addiction. I had a drug addiction some years back, and it wasn't a drug, it was just a natural herb. I used to love smoking the herb. And because I couldn't afford it, I'd always be concerned every week, oh, how am I going to get some more? Who am I going to get from? Where am I going to go to get it? And all of a sudden, well, a time came where my business started doing so well, I could afford to go out and buy an entire ounce. And then all of a sudden, my addiction stopped because I had an entire ounce. I can smoke it whenever I want. All of a sudden, didn't have this sudden urge, this, what do you call it? Seek and reward type of mentality. That's what most addictions are. If you no longer have to seek, there's no more reward, and suddenly you've lost the addiction. So give the people all the drugs they want and stop taxing them on it. Same with alcohol, same with anything. Give it to them as much as they can possibly have. That's really small writing on my tiny little phone screen. Give them as much as they want. Of anything possible you could imagine. And all of a sudden you'll find that instead of taxing them to try and stop them from doing it, like a good example is people I know, a lot of people I know like to smoke tobacco. All of a sudden these days now they're taxing the absolute shit out of tobacco. Where, what used to be $2 is now $20 or $30 or $40, depending where you buy it from. They're making it so expensive, and they keep threatening they're going to keep putting the price of tobacco up more and more. And so the people that do smoke tobacco, no disrespect to them, I don't, but, people do. And they're going to do it anyway. So now what you're really doing is you're stealing the money that they could be using for something like, well, let's say their electricity bill, or let's say for some decent healthy food, or let's say to put their child through a decent education, because you know for a fact they are going to do it anyway. They're going to keep on smoking and smoking and smoking. So the more you put it up, you've got them addicted. And by putting it up, you are fucking stealing off them and their kids and all of society. Taxation is theft. 100% theft. And trying to tell us it's for our own good and to pay for hospital bills, that is absolute bullshit. Give me a second and I'll go into that. I probably shouldn't go on long walks and come back for a rant. I could be here all night. Taxation is 100% theft. The reason the government gets a budget for the following year is because the Federal Reserve, the people who print and manufacture the money, work out how much they will lend to the government based on the amount that they predict based on past examples that the government will be able to collect in tax revenue or interest to just pay the interest only on the loan that these elite have given to the government of your country, therefore putting your entire country into debt further and further and further for every single generation. That is all that tax ever goes into, is paying the interest on the debt that these elite motherfuckers have enforced upon you and your future generations, simply because probably your grandparents didn't know any better. So don't try and tell me that tax is a good thing and it's going to pay for your roads or pay for your schools or pay for your hospitals. That's bullshit. That money has already been allocated, and all those taxes, fines, interests, and various other tax stamp duties are just paying the interest on the debt of your grandchildren that they will inherit, and that debt's only going to get bigger and bigger, which is going to make their taxes bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point now where it's like where we are, where a two adult household has to both work full-time jobs and still can't afford to pay their mortgage. That's what it's become, and it's only gotten worse. And where do you think it's going to go next? No. So that's why I have the solution. Of course, I can't divulge too much at this stage, but let's say, for example, that I became Prime Minister of Australia right now, right here, right now, and I had the ability to change all these laws. Of course, I'd get assassinated overnight, because there's hundreds of people making massive fortunes off all this shit, and they wouldn't like it one bit. So that's why, of course, I can't divulge too much. But let's say I did, and I would say, let's just abolish every single tax. Let's let people have tobacco at the cost it really is, which is probably 20 cents for a packet instead of $40. Let's say people could have alcohol at the price it is, which would be, say, $5 for a carton instead of $50. Let's say everybody could have petrol at the price it really is, which would be 5 cents a litre instead of $1.55 or whatever it is at the moment per litre. Let's say everybody could have everything at the real price it really is, and the only tax that the government is legitimately allowed to do is a 1% sales tax at the point of sale. Not at the point of wholesale, not at the point of transfer, not at the point of anywhere else. So that if you went to go and pay for your fuel, and it cost you $5, it would cost you $5 1 cent. A 1% tax, okay, $5 5 cents, pardon me. A 1% tax on every transaction would actually eliminate all this bullshit bureaucratic paperwork overnight. Gone. So yeah, of course, thousands of these fucking useless wankers would be out of jobs straight away, and that's why there'd be so much uproar, because they're all a bunch of useless wankers milking the economy from the real people doing the real work, which we're getting fucking sick and tired of. That's my whole point. Get rid of these useless fucking wankers. Get rid of the useless taxes. Reduce it down to a 1% transaction tax at the point of sale, and the actual government, the real government, which of course by this stage I would be probably the only one capable of having a strong enough mind to make sure it happened, would actually be making far more profit and keeping the people of the nation far more wealthy and keeping the economy far more flowing and probably reduce crime down to next to nothing, except for a fucking few weirdos that, you know, we have industrial mulches for people like that. I've had enough. I've really had enough. And that is why I'm this, you know, outrageous rant, and actually put it down and how it can be actually done. But it's time. It is time. We've had enough of this governmental bullshit. These invaders of my nation. Yeah, they are invaders. They committed the most atrocious crimes against the native people of my country, for which they can never be forgiven. Never. I'm a very forgiving person, but holy shit, if you do some major crime, I have a place where I'll crush you into the fucking ground, and I'll keep pushing you down where you will burn and burn forever in the fires of your own remorse. You don't underestimate me. I did see a couple of replies there. That's the only way. The first law, me as a man of God, is do no harm. But if people do harm, hence why we've ended up with this certain great deceiver now controlling the world, he has to be given a realm in which he can survive, because they have to keep getting pushed down and down and down. And if he's controlling our physical plane and still doing harm, then we just have to keep pushing him down further and further. And any person that stands in defense of this great deceiver can go further down and down and down and burn in those pits of hell with him. You know, it's not like God decided that this is what we really wanted to do. That was never part of the plan. But when they go and destroy the plan, then they have to accept the consequences of their own actions. And so we can't just, I'll say, oh, well, you can still live in paradise and keep destroying things and keep making people suffer and live in poverty when it should be abundance and beautiful for everybody. If you're going to stop people from being able to do that, then we have to take some sort of interventional means. And the only place we can do is keep pushing them down. It gets very hot down there. It's not like a loving God would voluntarily do that deliberately. Of course not. But you're the victim of your own circumstances, your own choices. You want to choose that? Well, we just have to keep pushing you further and further down out of the way. And so any motherfucker standing in the way of this greatest truth movement, which is not just understanding the flat earth, okay? To me, the flat earth is a really bad concocted term. The natural planar earth, to me, is a far better term. It's the natural planar, surrounded by sea level earth. You know, once you understand that and you grasp the concept of how everything works, it's actually one of the greatest revelations to a human soul to understand. This place is really important. And any little motherfucking pissant that wants to stand in the way, you're nothing. And if you want to keep standing in the way and keep making a big mouth and big noise for yourself, then, okay, we'll fucking push you into the ground. Pardon me. Push you into the ground and keep on pushing until you're down where you belong. I'm speaking to you specifically right now. Fight the flat earth quag. You dared to say that you would crucify me. It's okay. I'm a very forgiving person. All I know is you're just a little pissant who doesn't even know what you've got yourself into. You've got no idea. No idea. You're just a little Game Boy sitting in your fucking lounge room. Some little failed Navy wanker who disabled himself because of his incompetence and got pissed off because somebody made your little boy cry. That's all you are, Craig. Quag. So, no, you don't fight the flat earth. If you want to redeem yourself, you better get some understanding. Get out of your fucking lounge room, get out into reality, and see truth for what it is. Because this biggest truth movement in human history is not going away. This is only just beginning. As I say, I can be forgiving. But I don't have patience. Then again, there was once upon a time when I was there and said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Bear that in mind, motherfucker. Some of them treat this as a game, as something they can play. We're talking about reality here. The greatest truth movement in the history of the world. And this is going to either make or break. Let's see who owns this world. Christ consciousness or satanic influences. So far the scales are tipped slightly that way. I'm here to tip them the right way. See you round.